So nice to be here with all of you. So this morning, I thought it'd be nice to attune to the energies of continuity as we move forward as a collective and continue to harness our individual and universal selves. This meditation is called the meditation of continuity. So we just rest back into our seat, away from our devices, and just intend and affirm that we are in a space of gentle, loving kindness for the self and all others in this circle and in the world. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale and exhale. One more deep breath as one breath, one body, one mind, one heart and one soul. And as we keep breathing, come to a space of silence in your heart, in your mind. And now I invite you to connect to one transformation. Anything in the past, present, or future. Anything personal to you, anything observed by others, or then one that is yet to be discovered by us or you individually. As we breathe in and breathe out as one collective, take a note of how you're experiencing time in this moment, and keep your connection to this transformation, past, present, or future. Now, very, very gently, turn your right hand into a gentle fist and place this on your heart chakra. Here, experience an explosion of a green mist as you open your fist. As you continue to open and close your fist, this green mist assists you in spreading of love and care for all of humanity. With this begins the rooting of strength and bravery for you as an individual and for us as a collective. See through this mist and know that all is well. Continue with the opening and closing of the fist at your heart center. Continue to connect to the green mist, to strength and bravery, to wellness, and to love. Clearly see that all beings in this world are experiencing safety and security. And let's affirm confidently, I am protected by the green energies of love, and so is everyone else. And as we continue at the heart of the meditation of continuity, breathing in and out with the green mist, now you place your left hand gently over the right hand which is in the shape of a fist at the center of your chest. Now invite all the souls receiving this green mist energies of love and light to be courageous, loving, and strong. Invite them to combine strength and love and bravery as they are receiving this empowerment of adoration, clarity, connection to light, new patterns of health, wealth, abundance, and prosperity. Celebrating the huge presence of the divine light, simultaneously healing all in the now. Bringing a smile in your heart and on your face, we collectively celebrate and rejoice our togetherness and our oneness. Giving yourself to accept this green mist energies into every pore and cell of your body, your aura, your auric fields, and the energy fields. Do this till you feel satisfied and replete and fully nourished. Affirm, I am replete with these energies. In this process, you're also letting go of pain, hardships, obstacles, hurdle, anger, hate, fear, greed, lust, collectively for all of humanity and for yourself. You resolve to only connect to love with courage and love and tenderness, love and truth. Let's take a deep breath in, breathing in this mist for ourselves. And when you feel ready, release your hands, gently open your eyes, and know that this mist and consciousness continues in your heart, in your subconscious self. Acknowledge that we are all spontaneously taking action, flowing with love, in and through this green mist that surrounds us, committed to healing ourselves, healing our families, our communities, and the whole world. Inhale and smile. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amena, for this beautiful attunement. And welcome, Benjamin. I will pass to Trudy, yeah, to introducing us into this IGM.
Thanks, Kim. And hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's really nice to be here back in this circle again and to see all of you. It's been so long. And so I'm just here to, help to open the circle, this council for the annual general meeting of Genoa, the Global Ecovillage Network, Oceania, Asia. And I'm very happy to be here and to hear about how the network and the organization has been doing this past year. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you so much, Trudy. So just to run very quickly with you through the plan of today, we'll first together approve the previous AGM notes, which we'll put in the chat a bit later. And then we'll share with you the president's report, which is the activities report of Genoa in 2022, and followed by a financial, which is also the treasurer's report of 2022. And that would followed by some official legal matters that we will share with you. And that's conclude the part of the general annual meeting. After that, we'll have a short break, and then we'll come back with talking about the action plan for this year, 2023. And the last part of the call will be dedicated to talk about Chinese Ecovillage Network. So that's the plan for today, and very happy that you are all here. So first, diving right on the first matter, because we're on a quite tight time string today. We'll just approve the AGM of last year together. So I'll now put in the chat, firstly, the notes of this AGM. So you can also open and see it in your own time. And then Luvian is showing on the screen the notes from last year AGM, and I'll put that in the chat as well. So last year we also went through the activities report and then treasurer reports of 2021. Well, except Benjamin, the others were here in the last AGM. And then we also have a bit of in-depth sharing about the team and the network steward circle, which was very new last year. So that was a brief of what we talked about in the last AGM, and I hope to have your all your blessings to go ahead and approve this so we can move to the AGM this year. So maybe we can stop sharing screen and everyone you can thumbs up, or you can do a virtual thumbs up if you approve. Just waiting for Benjamin. If you approve. Thank you. Awesome. So that's it. We have approved the AGM 2022. Now we'll move to the first part of the AGM this year. And for this, I'll pass to Luvian.
Thank you, Ken. I'm going to share with you all about the activities that we did the past year in 2022, taking a look back. So firstly, about the official meetings, we had the General Council and NSC calls every 3 to 4 weeks. So that was in total that there have been like about 10 calls since the last AGM. And we attended the NSC calls every 3 to 4 weeks, and the NSC members of Genoa, Ken, Amena, and Talia and Karen attended those calls. Then we had the General Assembly on June 28th, and we also joined the strategy meeting that is hybrid for Genoa in person and online. And we were in Gaia Ashram in December last year. And to official meetings, these are projects actually. We had the Regen Nations that has been running almost fully self-funded, and we had 12 participants and 5 projects were incubated. And through this process, we also created 4 new webinars, and all of these materials are now ready for self-paced courses. And then we have the Metamorph project where we go inside, to analyze our current conditions and about the network. It took longer than expected, but we produced like quite fruitful result as we shared in the Genoa network call the previous month. And we also have healing circles. In total, we had 11 healing circles in 2022, and there has been more than 11 facilitators and more than 100 participants in total joining the calls. And continue with the projects in Next Genoa, because Next Genoa is now a part of Genoa. It's not a standalone entity. Within our Next Genoa arms, we have featured 4 projects in our youth projects in our newsletter. And we're also using the seed fund we funded to translate the nomadic the book Nomadic Kitchen in Korean to English, a book by Seong. And then we also granted seed grants to PowerShift Nepal and to fund Genoa workshop at Gaia Calling. Also the Genoa and Next Genoa presence at Ecoversity's gathering in Asia. So, and then we also have the joint projects and collaboration that happened last year. We had the Gaia Calling that happened in Gaia Ashram in December. It's a networking event for people who are interested in eco-villages to come together and get to know each other. And then we also had the Dances of Universal Peace camp, which was the first regional Asian camp. Also held in Gaia Ashram back to back after the Gaia Calling. We collaborated with the Dances of Universal Peace International for this. And we also had our Dragon Dreaming 24-hour session training that we concluded also last year. In terms for the networking activities, for the national network, we had a call with the national network September last year. to connect with them, with all of these national networks, and try to find synergies and how to collaborate better. And we keep in touch with them via calls and newsletter. And however, there have been quite low engagement of national network during the metamorph process. So it's also one of the somewhat missing points in our metamorph project. So for ambassadors, at the moment, Jen stopped, doesn't have anyone coordinating the ambassadors. So, but we did engage the ambassadors in Genoa through our metamorph project, and some of them have responded and add to our data points. And then for eco-villages, we have 4 community calls featuring 4 eco-villages. That was TI Ecovillage, S1 Community, Gaya Ashram, and what's the other one, Kim? Do you remember?
Auroville.
Right, Oroville. And then we also engage in the resilience and Elvis project, engaging the eco-villages. These 2 are like research project done by the Gen research notes, and we collaborate with them to connect with the eco-villages in our region. And also we also connect to a lot of eco-villages through our metamorph process this year. With regards to communications, we have 11 new issues of newsletter published, consistent with the last year, same number of issues. And we also increased a little bit of our newsletter subscribers to 651 subscribers. And for our social media, we noticed that we are more active recently, more on Instagram, and our Instagram reach and Facebook is increasing. Our Facebook page reach is, although the number is still more active on Facebook, 34,400 something on Facebook, but it's been decreasing since the last year, while Instagram is slowly increasing and 3,500 reach. And yeah, we have been toning down public engagement because we have been mostly focusing on internal projects last year. However, our social media have very slow but steady growth. There are consistently new followers on both Facebook and Instagram. Some updates about the team of Genoa. With regards to ops, DJ have officially left his position in April 2023 and have transferred his tasks to us. And we've been running with 2 members, me and Ken, and we are moving to fully voluntarily in 2023 this year. At the moment, we're trying to recruit one more volunteer to help us, at least one more volunteer to help with finance and bookkeeping. And that'll be nice if we also can have some more people to join us. Then as for the NSC members, Benjamin now joined the Genoa Council and NSC, while Amena left the NSC to join the Gen Trustee Board, but she remains still in the council. Now the ops team left the council, so the council, the office team is now no longer a part of the council, and we also have an intern or volunteer that joined Genoa for Metamorph, one intern Lila, and 3 interns for Region Nations, Nana, Tyler, and Samantha. So that was our activity last year, and now I'm handing it to Kim to share about our financial report.
Before the financial report, we'll take some comments, updates that comes from the rest of the team. So anyone, if you want to add something, you find something missing, feel free to add. And if you have any question, this is also the time for Q&A. So maybe we can turn off the screen share. We can all see each other. And I already see a question from Trudy asking about the comms statistics.
Yeah, there was just one stat that was like the same. So I was just curious about like, were they both Facebook? Is it one Insta? Okay, one is Insta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just want to add, we didn't really fully show on the screen, but at the moment we have a council consist of 4 main members: Amina, Benjamin, Karen, and Talea, who cannot join us today. And we were also having conversation in the Metamorph about later on we will start looking at our membership system and structure and see how to engage active member from Ecovillages into a board that can inform the council and then later on into the council. And also in the ops, at the moment there are me and Luvian, but DJ, since his departure from the ops, has still been supporting us with consultation calls on certain matters relating to administration and finance, because we're still learning how to fill in his shoes, while have not been having anyone new coming in for the role yet. So we're still counting on DJ's support quite a lot. So thank you so much, DJ, for that support. Just want to add that. And let's see if anyone else want to add or ask anything.
Can I just ask, I just want to say thanks. Yeah, thanks, DJ. It's really good to hear that the support is still there for the team. And I was just curious, I know you've shared the report and workshops or share slides on the Metamorph project, but will you have time in this meeting to give a little snapshot of that here?
Luvian, do you want to do a quick snapshot? I think we have like 2-3 minutes before we need to move to the next part. And there's this, we have cut short videos from the network call with the sharing of Metamorph as well. And there's a slide that you can also have a look when you have time. Can so put it at 2x speed, so it's faster if needed.
I just need to roll out the slides. Maybe we can get back to it after the finance, shall we?
Okay, but then we'll come back to Metamorph at the end of the official hour, first hour. Anyone else want to ask or add anything before we move on to the financial report?
Yeah, I was just wondering about, our social media and the numbers. And are we currently, like, do we have a social media strategy? Are we doing, I know it's just you and Luvian, but are you strategically doing things? Do you have the time to do it? Do you have, like, say, a number in your mind that this year we're going to funnel another maybe 50,000 people? And if yes, how can we do that? What kind of volunteer support do we need that we can send out into the communities?
Yeah, so about communication strategy, and especially social media, actually we already drafted the social media strategy like since 2021, 2020. However, we've been struggling to implement that actually. So at the moment, we don't really put so much time in making strategies again, and we're trying to. Yeah, last year was also about going inside. So maybe once we have more tractions and energy, we can start to implement that strategy we drafted earlier. Maybe amend that too.
Yeah, with the Metamorph, it might get, I guess, evolved, right, into something more.
Yeah, that's the idea.
I also just want to add that I realized that the organic reach of social media always grows when there's like a partnership event or an in-person event that we have a lot of organic materials to share. Well, Instagram, I'm not an expert of, but I feel like Facebook has been very saturated lately, and it's very difficult to get rich and get, you know, shown in people's feed if it's just that page trying. So there's the strategy really needs to get some sort of like involvement, engagement, maybe based on some collaboration or based on projects and activities. In that case, the riches grow quite organically, without having to try too hard or having to use ads.
Yeah, thank you, Kin. I think that's a wise, I guess, reflection that the more engagement and events we do, the more people will get engaged and, you know, spread our work in the world. So.
Okay, shall we? Any more questions, comments, feedback? Otherwise, we can probably move ahead to the finance.
Sure. I can go ahead with the finance treasurer's report, and then at the end of the finance report, there's also room for Q&A. And if any other question come up, you can also ask. And also, I realize we haven't taken a photo, so let's just keep a pin there that we'll take a group photo at the end of the financial report. All right, so with the financial report this year, I'm doing it. And if there's any, you know, anything unclear or any suggestions, feel free to add at the end. So this table just show a very quick breakdown of the income. And the first column is the income that we budgeted, which in total is about 16,589. And the second column is the actual that comes down when we say income here, we are not talking about incomes of projects. And at the end, I'll also show you the slide of income of the regeneration project. But this is funding coming in to Genoa, mostly through Gen. And donations. So we have the opening balance in Gen account here, and then the wise opening balance from previous year. We have received the last tranche of the Gaia Trust Fund of 6,000, and then there's no other tranche after that. There's the FOG Friends of Gen amount, and this amount is for Q1 and Q2 of 2022. We received the Q3 and 4 of 2022 just a few days ago, and it's gonna be added into the financial of 2023. And this donation amount, it's something that we have not budgeted for. The donations come in through the work of the healing circles and the community course, which we didn't ask for tickets, but we asked people to donate in kind if they want to support our work. So you can see that there's more funding in total in the budget, mostly due to the donation and the opening balance in Gen account for Genoa. Next slide, please, Luvian. This is just a graph to show you that difference between the budgeted and the actual in incomes. And we can just go to the next slide. And this is income versus expense. I'll go deeper into the expense a bit later, but you can see that the total income and expense in budget, which is budgeted, which is yellow, was the same height. So we budgeted to be the same, but in fact we have a little bit more income than we budgeted, and then we spend a lot less. And I show you why a bit later. So that's also result in higher reserve in the year 2022. Okay, and then this is the graph that show the expenditure in different lines that we have budgeted. We have a line for training fund, which this year we didn't use. We did have some budget sending people into events, but we use the Next Genoa fund for it, because we also have the same line in Next Genoa fund, and all of the people we send out to gatherings and events were youth. And then we have the stipends columns, which the actual it's less than the budgeted. We also have the line for project development, which the actual is way less than budgeted. Administration, the green line for actual is a little bit higher than budgeted. And the others, it's basically our reserve that we didn't touch. In the next slide, I explain a little bit more. You see a table with well, this slide first, it shows, it's a pie chart that show how much we spend on what lines in terms of the expenditure. And you can see that stipends is the highest portion with 36.1%, and then followed by project development and then administration. And actually more than half of our budget, it's now in our reserve, in the balance for next year. And so next slide, it's the details of budgeted and actual. And just to also address Benjamin's question in the chat, the variance, we use the budget line minus the actual. So that's why you see here, it's the figured, the variance is how much that we didn't budget, to put it in a maybe more easier to understand way. And here you can see that we didn't use the staff training fund this year. As I said, the stipends we use less. There's a variance of 1,580 because DJ only received stipends for his work in the first quarter of the year 2022. He decided that the later work and support, he would do it for Genoa voluntarily as gift, I would say. So he didn't receive any stipends afterward. We also have less stipends coming into the finance, the bookkeeping, because the actual hours that I worked on bookkeeping was less than we budgeted. And for project development, regeneration, at the end, we're able to raise most of its own funds. So we didn't have to put in regeneration as much as we thought. And although Metamorph has only a small excess, because we invite Benjamin to join the team later on in the process. So there were Luvian, Keen, and Benjamin who received some financial support in Metamorph project. And since this year, we received Next Genoa budget into Genoa account, so we considered Next Genoa as a project because it was not there at the beginning when we budget our finance. So for Next Genoa, that's also make a change in the project development line. And for administration, the actual was more than we budgeted, because this year we did the renewal of the website and the domain, which is if I remember correctly, every 3 years that we choose to pay. So it's not an annual fee that we did, but it does add up to make the administration fee higher. And the legality here, it's less than expected. We put the legality fee for the report that we need to do for the Australian governments on their system. And the others, it's basically the reserve that at the beginning of 2022, we already foresee that we need to reserve because we are no longer receiving Gaia Trust Fund. So the reserve is still the same. Next slide, please, Luvian. So this just on a high note, just want to show you the budget breakdown of the project regeneration. While most of the other projects were consuming quite a lot of budget from our wallet, from Genoa's wallet, regeneration this year was actually able to source a lot of the fund on their own. So as you can see here, half of the fund of regeneration on the second cycle was from Lush, which was 5,000. So the total budget of regeneration was close to 10,000. And then the rest of the fund was from, a big part is from the tuition fee of the 12 participants. And then there's also donation, in-kind donation from members, friends of the network. And we run a crowdfunding on Indiegogo, which was not as successful as we hoped, and it's only accounted for 2.6% of the fund. And then there's also a bit of the funding that's left from Regen last year, 4.7%. And Humanities webinar is where we open the webinar to the public, and it's also a small percentage. So that's a bit about Regen Nation. And at the end, I think Genoa, from the budget of Genoa, we anticipated that we're gonna contribute to the Regen Nation budget the amount of about 1,840 pounds, but then at the end we actually only contributed 299.42, which is close to 300 pounds to Regen Nation, because most of its own fund was raised from the other source. So that was like a quick overview of our financial situation, the financial report. And this is our opening balance at the moment. So now we have received all of the money that were kept for us in Gen account to our WISE account. So all of our financial reserves are in WISE account, and this is the number for it. Most of it is in the British pound account, which is 9,219.54. And you can notice that in the metamorph, we actually we projected that the opening balance for this year is going to be about 5,000, and this figure it's a lot more than that, which is a good thing for us. We at least have more than we thought to continue with. And then we have a small account of Australian dollars, 150.53. And it was yeah, it was here. Well, all of the activities of 2022 in AUD, Australian dollars, I have converted it into GBP, British pound already. So this figure was here at the beginning of the year. All right, that's the end of my financials report. And I would love to open for any question or anything you found missing you want to add, or anything unclear. This is my first time doing a financial report. So, okay. Amena, go ahead.
Yeah, Kim, thank you for these beautiful visuals. You know, first time my mind was receiving financials with color and beauty, and it makes so much of a difference. You know, there was a TED talk which said data can be beautiful, and ever since then I've been wishing that numbers could be presented for artistic minded people. So thank you for that. And I just had a clarification again, just what Benjamin was saying. Like if you go to the slide which shows the variation first between actual and projected budget, and there's the minus, right? I think in the healing circle.
The donation.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, this is a minus? Should it be a minus here?
Let me just explain, because the variance column is the budget deduct the actual. So the sheet was set up so it's the budget deduct the actual. So the variance here is actually should be considered how much we didn't account for in the budget, not how much we have extra at the end. So if it was actual minus budget, it wouldn't be negative here. But because we use the column budget to deduct the column actual, so that's why it shows. So you can understand the variance as what we didn't account for at the beginning when we budget the finance. So we didn't think of having this donation. But yeah, I know it's a bit confusing. I was just not, I didn't want to change the algorithm, because I'm afraid that it could make some cascading error down the line. So I just keep everything as it is when I step in. I don't know if DJ, you want to explain a bit more?
Happy to, Ken. I can't remember what I did last year, but I would assume what I did was usually when there's a variance, you can just, for the presentation purposes, just multiply it by -1, so it's a positive figure, and it's just easier to present because it's really is a positive income. I mean, it's just, as you said, it's exactly what it sounds like, something that we didn't budget for or something that we didn't account for. So visually, I mean, for an accounting person, this is fine, but visually, it's easier to explain and visually also understand. It's just a positive figure. Maybe next time we can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because the variance in the end, like if you go back now, Ken, to the slide of the where variance appeared again, I think after the expenditure and the
I think it's still more ahead.
One back.
Expenditure, right?
One back. Where there was minus 13,013 something, that number.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, just to clarify again, when I look at minus 137, I should see this as in addition to our budget, right?
Yeah, it's something that we didn't expect to
budget, but it's still there as an extra actual budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. And there's one slide. There's
Go ahead.
Yeah, DJ, you can finish.
Just want to add on to what's being discussed. Maybe moving forward, we can just say over budgeted by this much or under budgeted by this much instead of having a minus figure, just for like visual purposes.
Yeah, that would maybe that could be nice. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Amena, and sorry, Amena Benjamin, for the confusion. If I'm doing it again next year, I'll do it differently. Any other questions or comments for finance?
Yeah, I also just wanted to congratulate, I think, Luvian and you for managing very, very meager funds in very, I think in a very good way. And we haven't, I mean, starting at the beginning of the year, we're nearly at the same amount we would receive from Gaia, right? Every year. So, yeah. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Amena.
Thank you for all your work that all the extra hours that you didn't get paid for. I think there was some bits that we discussed, right? Both of you were volunteering a lot of work. So thank you.
Thank you, Amena. Yeah, so I think it's quite a good thing to celebrate that we still have more than £9,000 in our account, even though it's quite a humble amount for an organization, but it's very close to our opening balance previous year, because we've been already on a frugal mode last year. But I hope that this year we'll really be able to tap into abundance with great projects and also good fundraising campaign, which we'll talk about a bit more in the later part of the call today. All right, so if there's no more question, we'll just talk quickly about 2 new updates. This is updates of legal matters for the Genoa Inc. Incorporated. So the first update is that maybe you can add in later, but I will just sum up that. So we have a change. We will have a change in our registered address for the incorporated, because Trudy will have a move, and we will base a new address at Trudy's parents' house. So we will still have an address at the same state, Brisbane, in Australia. And Trudy and DJ and Luvian and I have had a few conversations about this, whether we should move Genoa address to a different state with an Ecovillage, or should we think about registering Genoa in another country. And Trudy and DJ actually have done very extensive research around this before, and decided to put Genoa in Australia for a lot of different reasons, including like how easy it is to receive and disseminate fund to different countries, and also the fact that the currency is AUD and the language is English. And also at the moment we are using Humanities and WISE, which both are heavily dependent on our registration being in Australia. So we thought that it would not be a good idea for now to re-register Genoa in a different country, but we can register Gen in a new country. For example, we can do like a Gen China, a Gen India, register in the country. So it's easier for you to get funding for China, for India. The same with how Gen Japan is doing. So that is highly encouraged, because sometimes it's also very difficult for us to receive funding if we are based in Australia, but maybe it's easier for other countries. And at the same time, if we move Genoa to a different state, for example, if we want to base Genoa at Narara Ecovillage and ask someone there to hold the address for us, there's a little bit of legal paperwork that we'll need to do. So for now, we think that the best option is to move the address to Trudy's parents' address, which is still in the same state in Brisbane. I don't know if Trudy, you have anything to add about this?
I mean, I think it's just a matter of ease, because I'm moving from the place that where I'm currently living, and I won't have a physical address for a while. I'm going to open a PO box, but that's not sufficient to keep the registration in Queensland. To just have a PO box, it needs a residential address. So I checked with my parents, and they're totally fine for any post that I receive in my name for it to go to their home address. And I think it just simplifies the whole legal process, rather than changing it to a different state in Australia, which will also cost time, energy, and money. And it means that I can continue to hold just that legal part for Genoa. And just in addition to that as well, like I've had to submit a couple of annual returns for the last 2 years, 2020, 2021, sorry, 21 and 22, and I'll do, sorry, 20 and 21, and I'll do 22 after this meeting. And that's also like a legal requirement. And that means doing an online form that, you know, we have to just submit and say, these are our activities, these are the financial activities that have happened, in order to keep the registration. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. But yeah, if there's any questions about that, I think Amena's got her hand up. So,
Amena, do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to share something, that's been emerging in India. And I was thinking about this, given that, before the meeting, we were informed that there could be possibility of relooking at moving the regional office somewhere else. So recently I was part of a very big festival in India called the Wellbeing Festival. It was hosted by the Bangalore Creative Circus. It's a group of people that came together in 2021, and I know the founders of this place, and they are super aligned with, I think, the work we do. And I was speaking to one of the founders that would they have the resources to, you know, have a regional office for Genoa. So that was one conversation I had. And now I think looking at what you presented today about keeping the office in Melbourne, I think for me, there's another line of thought that even at Gen International, one has been talking about is, would Gen benefit from the creation of more regions, like we diversify more so we can work more closely? And I've been thinking about this for Genoa for about a year, you know, given that with Gen Australia, we haven't been able to have too much engagement and interaction. Would it be valuable for us to have Genoa and as Oceania and Asia as separate regions, you know, Gen Asia and Gen Oceania? And then would it be valuable then to host the Gen Asia office in India, given that India, if you look at all the economic change in India, it's really becoming a hub for the growth of many things. And all our policies are opening up, and there's a lot of interest in sustainability, regeneration, and all of that. So these are thoughts that I will leave you with. The Bangalore Creative Circus, I will share their link here with you. The founder, Manisha, is a good friend of mine. She's very interested in exploring what kind of partnership we could have or what we could host. So yeah, I just want to leave this here.
Can I respond a little bit to that, if that's okay?
Sure.
So, you know, some years ago, like Kin said, DJ and I, you know, put a lot of work into looking at registration of Genoa in various places. Extensive work. We looked at almost every country that was active in the region. Genoa was actually registered at one point in India, and there were funds that went from Gen to India, and it basically got stuck in India because the government brought out the law where they couldn't do international transfers. So that was the reason why it never went to India after that, because we were kind of quite concerned that funds would get stuck, and you know, we lost a whole tranche worth of funds in India, and it was used for some local activities, which was also great. We looked at it everywhere. You know, we looked at China, we looked at Thailand, Philippines, and Australia seemed like the easiest place to do. So that's one thing. And it's interesting that you say, Amena, that India is possibly changing and opening up, and the laws are changing. But again, that's when that happens, maybe that could be relooked at. I think the idea of splitting the region also has been talked about many times by many people in the past. And I think the issue here is around energy. And currently there is, like, from what I see, Genoa is almost like condensing, you know, because it takes a lot of funds to run a team. It takes a lot of funds and energy to run activities. And if there isn't a lot of money coming through, it's very hard to support the people to do the work. Already I can see that Kin and Luvian, and in the past myself and DJ also, like, we've worked quite a lot and never got financially compensated enough for that. And I think splitting the regions when there isn't enough energy in Oceania to really, like, you know, call for the split of regions, it's not really there. If there was a lot of activity, to be honest, in Gen Australia, if there was a Gen New Zealand, if there was a Gen Fiji, if there was all of these things, it makes sense to have a Gen Oceania, but there isn't that. So actually splitting the region will actually cause a lot of fragmentation and a lot of energy to be kind of dispersed, when at the moment it needs to be contained and held until participation within the network can be increased, if visibility can be increased, if fundraising can be increased, you know. So it's just to bring that to your guys' awareness as well, as you have this. And I know it's not a discussion for now, but something to think about, because I won't be there in future discussions, because I'm not active in the running of the network and organization. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Trudy, for that. I think my only concern for Genoa is, which I've been voicing in a lot of meetings last year also, is that to receive funds or to generate funds, we have to have show credibility to organizations in terms of our books, right? And we don't have that in Genoa. And I'm just wondering, like, you know, if we approach people, whether they are individual investors or institutions or large donors, our bookkeeping out of Melbourne seems really like, you know, we are not even like, I think we're just a society, and we cannot become, I think what Kin and DJ told me, we cannot become a full-fledged charity till we, maybe Kin, you can bring in the words I'm looking for, till we have a certain amount of income and a certain amount of, I guess, bookkeeping to show. So I'm just wondering, it's like a chicken and egg. How do we reach that space of attracting abundance from places that there is abundance? Because right now our legal entity doesn't have the structure for us to become abundant. So if you have any ideas around that, I would welcome that.
Yes, thank you. Maybe I can just say a few words. Adding to what Trudy said, and also adding to what Amena said, there's really no one stopping. I also am in the thinking of Genoa itself should not break down right now into any sort of fragments. However, Amena, if there's a need and also the energy behind it, maybe it is in the best interest for not particularly per region, but maybe a national network to start, say for example in India, and then with your network, of course, we'll be able to really find the appropriate people, and also people who are definitely aware and more fluent with the laws and regulations of India. Then, you know, can already set up that team. And here in Oroville, there's also a lot of interested parties, Kavita and then Josh, who will be meeting maybe next week. And probably even Manish. I feel like it would be a good start to have a national network of India, and maybe that way you can get build the credibility quickly within India for the relevant donors. That's just my suggestion, and I don't know how much time we have today because we are on a very tight schedule, but we can also have another meeting to discuss further. I'm happy to be on once in a while for a meeting. Yeah, that's me.
Thanks, DJ. I see also Trudy said in the chat that Genoa can also be registered in different countries at once for the purpose of credibility and attracting funds. So I think, and also if the situation in India is getting brighter, I think it's worth a conversation. Maybe we can host a call just around exploring setting up Gen in India or a Genoa office in India. And in that call, I would invite both Amena, DJ, and DJ. Now that you're in Oroville, you also maybe see if anyone seems to have interest in this topic, and we can invite them to the call as well. With Kavita now being more active after 1 or 2 years, she's not around after her birth, her pregnancy and birth of the child. I think things are also kind of picking up in India and in Oroville. So maybe a lot of good signs. So shall we put that as a follow-up action plan to have a conversation around that? Okay, thanks, Trudy. Yeah, so Trudy added a few more information in the chat about setting up a regional network, need at least 3 national networks. So that's not the case yet for Oceania. All right. Since we are running a bit tight on time, I'm gonna move to the next legal matters, which is the management board. After our last AGM, the current management board is that Trudy is our president and public officer, DJ is our treasurer, and I am the secretary. But as Trudy also reminded me that legally the secretary needs to be within 60 kilometers of Brisbane. So I think we need to revise the secretary role, and at the same time, DJ is also expected to step out of the treasurer role at the end of 2022. So now is also the time for his transition. So this is why I'm bringing this conversation to the group in this meeting, and maybe checking with you a bit, Trudy, like for the public officer and the secretary, both of them needs to be in within 60 kilometers of Brisbane, and then also seeking an interest on a new person stepping in as the treasurer. I mean, like legally treasurer, could be also a pseudo role for Genoa. So DJ Trudy, do you want to add something about this?
I just wrote it in the chat, but it's just the secretary that has to reside within 65 kilometers of the Queensland border. So it's nothing to do with Brisbane, where I reside. It could be anyone in Queensland, in the state that the organization that the incorporated association is registered in, which is Queensland, and within that 65 kilometers border. And I did have this conversation with Kin, and the other options is, if there is, say, for example, I'm happy to stay as pseudo secretary and to keep the legal part of Genoa going. It requires minimal work from me. Like, I just have to do the annual return every year for Genoa and receive the mail. But yeah, in the future, if we do want to keep the registration in Australia, there is just a process of changing from Queensland to New South Wales, for example. The incorporated association, it is a process. It could be something that you could talk to Tanya about, and then have it registered with Tanya at Narara. That's an option, but there is a bit of a process that you would need to go through, not to mention all the politics of like talking with Tanya, talking with Narara, and so on. So at this stage, I'm happy to hold it until something changes in Genoa or something changes in me that I'm like, oh my God, I can't do it. But yeah, at the moment, it's fine.
Thanks, Judy. So you can still be a pseudo secretary while I can do the actual secretary work. Well, except for the reporting in Australia, I cannot do. And for the treasurer role, since DJ already expressed in the last AGM that he would like to step out of the role this year, so I was thinking that maybe it's easier for me or Luvian to step in as the treasurer, because we are the ops team at the moment who are handling financial management and bookkeeping. So I would love to also hear any suggestion, thoughts around this from everyone. Yeah, I know the treasurer and the secretary cannot be the same person, but on paper, Trudy would be the secretary, so I'm not. So I can still be the treasurer if needed. But Luvian is welcome to also be the treasurer. Luvian, do you want to say something? I see you unmute.
Yeah, I don't mind. So
legally, what is it? What does it mean to be a treasurer, Trudy? Is there any
I think legally, I mean, maybe DJ can speak to that, but it's really a matter of keeping the financial records up to date for Genoa, so doing all the financial transactions, the reporting of that, creating the end of year financials. Yeah, maybe DJ can give you a little bit more, but that's kind of, yeah, what it is. It's the money. It's looking after the money.
Okay, so I think my suggestion would be, since now I'm still working on the numbers, unless if Luvian, you wanna come in and take this task, maybe let me be the treasurer, because I'm gonna do the numbers anyway until we have a new person coming in, and then the secretary is still Trudy, and the public officer is Trudy. So that would be our management board. How it would look like. Sometimes I need to do some thing that would need me to put in an ID card of the treasurer or like link to my phone. So it's probably easier if I would just be the role. Okay, so maybe let's get out of the screen shared and get a blessing from everyone for both the address change and the management board revise. So just to sum up, for now, the address will be changed from Trudy's address to her parents' address for our legal registered INC address. And secondly, for the management board, Trudy will continue to be the public officer and the secretary, and I'll step in as the treasurer, and DJ will step out. So I would love to have your blessings with your thumbs up, either real thumbs up or your virtual hand thumbs up. Thank you. All right. Okay, now that everyone's on video, I'll invite Benjamin also so we can take a group photo, and then we'll close the first part of the call.
Just one more thing to add, Ken. Does anyone have any objection to any of those? We'll just check for any objections too. And if not, then we can just go ahead.
Any objection to the legal matters that I just said, right?
Yes, correct. Because usually it is taken one after the other. So one voted for, then the next voted for objections. But I think we know we know each other very well, and it's okay for us to do it in one go. Yeah.
Amena?
Yeah, I think I'm just keen to explore how we can enhance the illegal identity. So if there's any ideas there, I would welcome them. Thank you.
Yeah, and I second Amena. I think it's important to explore, because, you know, when DJ and I did this exploration, it was years ago, and things are changing. So it could be good to look at that, you know, what does it look like to have different Genoa entities registered? What does it look like to just have one? How does it affect all the pieces that are in flow, humanitics wise and all that, you know? So it might require like a small team to kind of do that investigation. What does it look like, setting up the parameters, and, you know, yeah, I think it's a good time to do it, actually. Because DJ, when did we last do it? Probably what, 5 years ago, do you think? 6? Something, maybe more. Yeah. So, and if things are changing in India, I would definitely think it could be a good idea. And maybe also have a chat to Tanya about Oceania, because there's been talk about Oceania for a long time, you know, I know Andrew was back in the scene. I don't know how active he is again. I know Gen Australia is at a little bit of a standstill, because Shane has just, I think, in the process of having another baby, and so he's not active, and Tanya's kind of the only one. Jason has stepped out, so there's very much less activity in Australia, you know, so it's good to check in and see. But I know like people like Robina and Robin Allison in New Zealand from Earthsong are, you know, still active, and having a chat to them about New Zealand could be a way. Maybe there's a way to like activate somehow another country network in Oceania, you know, but it takes time. It's a lot of networking. It's a lot of like, you know, relationship holding, which is not always tangible, but, you know, something will fruit, and then you're suddenly like, oh, all that work, you can actually finally see that there's a fruit of our labor, but it takes a lot of time and energy. And depending on how much funds you have to support yourselves, you know, I think that's also something to think about. And that's why I was curious about the Metamorph project. I'm sorry I haven't read enough about it, but I haven't had time to really look deeply at what the outcomes of that was. But I'm really curious to know what came of that research that you guys did, and where is that going to take Genoa. And I can't stay for the rest of the meeting to find out, but yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Trudy. So let me just check one more time with what DJ asked, if there's any objection. I hear Amina's and Trudy's concern, and I think we definitely should put this in the council meeting agenda next time to talk about the legality and also the energy for Gen Oceania, and hopefully Talea will be able to join us in that call. But just for now, to check if there's any objections, to be sure that the two proposals about our legal matters are approved.